Good morning. Oh, okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Clear Lake Center in Lower Lake. And we have Bill this morning, and he is going to sing a joy song to start our service.
The first time ever I saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon and stars were the gift you gave to the door and the empty skies, my love, to the door and the empty skies. The first time ever I kissed your mouth, I felt the earth move in my hands, like the trembling heart of a captive bird that was there at my command, my love, that was there at my command. The first time ever I lay with you and felt your heart beat close to mine, I thought our joy would fill the earth and last till the end of time, my love, and last till the end of time. The first time ever I saw your face, your face, your face.
Thank you, Bill. Wonderful, as usual. Okay, so now, Margie, oh my goodness. Our guest speaker today is Reverend Marjorie Brach. She's a Unity minister, now living in Sacramento, and she is a guest speaker at churches and centers throughout Northern California. And it's an honor to have her speak to us today. And she is going to give us the opening prayer, and then Bill will follow that with Surely the Presence and the Lord's Prayer. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here this morning and celebrate all the good in our lives. And as we enter into this time of our service, we know that God is present and active in each and every one of us. In the music, in the words we speak, the songs we sing, in every prayer, that God is present here within us. God is present among us and in the hearts and minds of everyone who is a part of this community. And we know that in this time of celebration, we bless, we uplift, and we are blessed and uplifted. And so it is, and so it always shall be. Amen.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel His mighty power and His grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the light is in this place. I can feel her mighty power and her grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the light is in this place. And the Lord's Prayer. Our Father and Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Thank you, thank you. Beautiful as usual. And so now, there we go. I'm going to read the invocation affirmation. Think about this. This is who we are. First, there is only one presence and one power active in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. And then there is only one presence and one power active in Unity Clear Lake Center, God, the good, omnipotent. And finally, there is only one presence and one power active in our world, God, the good, omnipotent. The 5 basic ideas of unity is the basic foundation of unity. The first one, God is absolute good, everywhere present. 2, human beings have a spark of divine spirit within them, the Christ consciousness within. Therefore, they are inherently good. And then human beings create their experience by the activity of their thinking. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. And number 4, prayer is process that affirms connection with God mind and brings forth wisdom, healing, and everything good. Knowing and understanding universal laws, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. And now, Bill. Bill is going to, I know, yay, is going to sing for us. Thank you, Bill.
Gentle warrior, with your heart like golden rainbow in your eyes. Brave companion, do you see a world shining in the sky? Your body dancing like an arrow, spreading joy beneath your feet and your hand. They wave like tall grass in the wind as you speak with the shyness of a small child and the wisdom of a sage. I tell you now, there is no reason to be afraid. Brother warrior, there are none of us who walk this path alone. Spirit healer is the only light that we have ever known. I see your smile in the sunlight, I hear your song in the rain, and I hold you here inside me. Feel your love, know your pain. At this time, when the earth is waking to the dawn of another age, I tell you now, there is no reason to be afraid. We are crying for vision that all living things can share, and those who care are with us everywhere.
My wires seem to get a little crossed here. So, but still, it's thank you, Bill. Thank you. Thank you. And I would like to go ahead now and read the daily word for Sunday, August 9th. Joy. Joy lives in my heart and blesses my life. Joy lives in me as an aspect of my divine inheritance. I feel it as the love in my heart and the peace in my soul that colors every experience. Even as the rhythms of my life shift, joy is my constant companion. When living feels right, joy is in the harmony in my relationships, the laughter in my celebrations, and the satisfaction in my soul. When living feels heavy, joy is still present as my peaceful bearing and faith-filled presence. My joy blesses me daily, but it is not for me alone. I share it generously. I rejoice in being a source of light in times of peace and a shelter in times of trouble. I am blessed to live a joyful life. I affirm God's joy is my joy today and every day. And we are filled with joy as Margie gives her talk on our wonderful bodies. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a joy to be here. And and the wonderful music today, Bill. Beautiful. Good to see you. Good to hear your music. And it feels like it just brings me back. It brings me right back. So many times I can get focused on this thing over here or that thing over there, and all of life can be very consuming of my brain. And I find so many blessings with coming right back to where I am now, to my experience in my own body, to experience in community like this. And there's so much support for that in Unity. We were founded by, the Fillmores. It's all started with our co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore. She was having struggles with her body, and, she was involved in the world around, but she found a new approach to healing, and she started practicing it every day in her life. And from there, things just multiplied and grew as she taught other people how to do what she had learned to do. And so this idea of focusing on the joy of our bodies is nothing new in Unity. And I really appreciated, there was an article that I saw in Unity magazine a few years back, and it was written by Dr. Ellen Meredith. And she had written a book on the language our body speaks. And what she said in this article is that our body speaks the truth through its symptoms, through sensations, interruptions of functioning, and other signals. And what our body is saying is, pay attention, I need something here. And this is so much like what we find from our co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, in the book, How to Let God Help You. It's a compilation, because she was constantly praying with people. She was writing letters. She was writing articles for early Unity publications. She was giving lectures in the late 1800s. And so this book, How to Let God Help You, is a compilation of so many things that she shared with others about putting this into action in our lives. And one of the things she says in that book is that our bodies are God's temple, and we have no right to think anything short of perfection about our bodies. That can feel like a tall order sometimes. But she said, our body's like a child. It needs our attention, it needs our love, it needs training. And so let's give it what it needs. Let's give it exercise. Let's, keep up our health and our bathing to refresh our bodies daily. Let's make sure that we're feeding it good, healthy food. And then we can really appreciate all the parts of our body. I mean, they're amazing. Some of the things our bodies do without us even having to consciously think about it, it's beyond belief. I mean, our chest that just breathes, our heart that just beats. It does. We don't have to say, okay, heart, you can beat now. We don't have to do any of that. Our legs and our feet, so easy to take them for granted. But all the freedom and the mobility we have in the world because of our legs and feet, what a blessing. Our hands and our arms, it's easy to take them for granted too, isn't it? All the things it makes us possible to do in the world. And our head, what an amazing thing that we have this head. It has this brain in there, and all the things our brain does. We don't have to necessarily tell it what to do, and how our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth make it possible for us to experience the world in wonderful ways. And knowing, as Myrtle reminds us, that our mind does direct and reconstruct our body. She says, if we're feeling lost, if we're feeling less than healthy, the thing to do is to look beyond the symptom, look beyond what feels like a limitation, and see what might be lying behind that. Because when we look beyond the surface experience, then we can see God expressing in us and in all things. And as always, with the teachings we get from our co-founders, they are grounded in the ancient Christian scripture. I mean, in this case, there's a couple of references. One of them is the first letter to the Corinthians. And in that letter, Paul was reassuring a new Christian community. And you know, in any community, there's people and things happen. And there are things to work out sometimes. And, you know, what he is encouraging them to do is live harmoniously and wisely. And he wrote this. He said, all things are lawful, but not all things are beneficial. Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit? Therefore, glorify your body. Our temple is our body, and we can glorify it in all things. And also in the letter to the Colossians, we find these words. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. It's the wisdom of the ages that our bodies are sacred. They are gifts of God. And when we care for them, we love them. Even if we hit a little bump in the road, we can find God in that experience. And we can move forward in ways that are a blessing. I was inspired recently about a story of one woman who she's really expressing this in her life. She grew up in a small town in Indiana, and from a very young age, she was drawn to music and dancing. And so she put all the time and energy she could into that with all her other life responsibilities and school and things like that. Well, she, at a certain point, as a young woman, realized she'd learned everything she could learn there. And so she moved to New York City. Big change, big change. But there she was. And because of all the work she'd done before then, she was hired to perform with a dance company there. And she loved that she got to be there and do that. But there was something within her that was telling her there's more. And she thought, well, what other opportunities are there? And she went and she auditioned for the Rockettes. And they praised her to high heaven for her dancing. But they said, if you're going to dance with us, you have to smile more. She took the compliment and she took the comment and realized that wasn't going to be the place for her. Because there was something within her that was telling her that she could create dances that went beyond what she was seeing and having the opportunity to do in other places. She had no idea how to start doing that. But with a lot of work and perseverance, she founded the Twyla Tharp Dance Company in New York. And over the years, she choreographed more than 130 dances for her company, for the Joffrey Ballet, for the New York City Ballet, for the American Ballet Theater, for the Paris Opera Ballet, for the London Ballet Company, for television shows and movies and Broadway shows and even ice skating routines. And she's known today as one of the premier choreographers in the United States. And at age 84, she still starts every day with some kind of exercise. Now, she also has the experience of aging. And that shows up. And she has a contract with herself. because sometimes her body will not do what it once did. And so her contract is, if things are not working the way she wants them to, and they're not quite the way they were before, then she checks in to see what is serving me here. And she looks, is the problem I'm running into, is it just an old habit? Is it something I can let go of and have a better experience? Because if it is, then she just changes things and moves on. And her dream is unity. She talks about unity with herself, unity in her endeavors, unity for the country, unity for our world. Her dream is unity. And this is what she says about aging and our bodies. Aging isn't easy. And anyone who says it is not experiencing it. She says, obviously there are challenges. Our body is insulting our mind, which remembers things that were once possible. And we keep believing that somehow we're going to get that young thing back. But it's not going to happen. So we might as well revise our thinking. And she says, with age, there's more knowledge, experience, and options. But we should be able to get up every day and know that anything is possible. Doesn't that sound a lot like Myrtle Fillmore? I just think, giving our body the loving attention it needs, recognizing that it's going to give us signals when it's time for a change, seeing if there's something behind any limitation we've experienced, and seeing God express through us with unlimited possibilities going forward. It's beautiful. I was reminded of a story of another woman recently, is along these same lines, and her name is Laura Lucero, and she's a longtime resident of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and she loves her community. And she grew up with a grandfather who told her again and again, and said to himself and said to her, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can do this. And for herself, she wasn't always so sure, Things looked a little out of reach. But it stuck with her, even long after he was gone. And it got her through some difficult times. And she was able to accomplish some good things in life. She became a land use attorney, and she was a journalist and a community gardener. And she got to travel internationally for a year, teaching people about climate change and land use and how to make the best use of land under different conditions. But one of her favorite things in life is the Grand Canyon. Beautiful. She visited there so many times and loved it so much. But her big dream was to hike all the way in 5,000 feet down, stay a night at Phantom Ranch, and hike back out the next day. And the day was coming when she was going to officially become a senior citizen. And she realized that if she was going to do this thing, she'd better get to it because it may not happen otherwise. Well, she recruited a friend and made a reservation at Phantom Ranch. You have to make them a year in advance, and made a reservation for the lodge at the top of the canyon, and started her training. She got some hiking shoes, and she was breaking them in, making sure they were ready. She was doing her research, and she was making her way, and there were times and she thought, I don't know if I can do this, but Grandpa came to mind. I think I can. I think I can. And so she kept going. And it was getting closer to the time. And she found out there was a sign at the top of the trail that says, hiking in is optional. Hiking out is mandatory. That startled her. And again, Grandpa came to mind. And she said, I think I can. Got really close, and her friend bailed out and wasn't going to go with her. And she wasn't sure, but she knew she wanted to do this thing. And so she went. And the night before her hike, at the lodge at the top, up on top of the rim, she was talking to people in their 20s and 30s who worked there, and they said, "Oh, I tried it, and I turned back." She really needed Grandpa that night. And he was there for her in memory. And the next morning, she got up, she checked all her gear, she made sure she had her water, and she started into the canyon. And she thought it was going to be this gentle, meditative walk going in. But it was kind of scary at points. The path got really narrow, it was rocky and a little slippery. And but the people were wonderful, and the views were amazing. Views she had never seen of the canyon before. People would ask her name. Are you hiking alone? Do you have enough water? They were with her 100%, even as they were passing by, even as she was the one who had to step aside because she was going slower than anyone. And the estimate for hiking in was 5 hours, but it was 10 hours later when she made it down off the trail and arrived at Phantom Ranch. There were people celebrating their birthdays down there. One of them was 81 years old and had hiked in that day as well. And she celebrated with everybody who was there. And then she went and she took off her boots, and boy, did she have blisters. And her legs were cramping up. But she took Tylenol, she laid down, and she went right to sleep. Got up the next morning, put moleskins on those blisters, got her gear together, got her boots on, had her 4:30 a.m. breakfast at Phantom Ranch, and to climb out. They had told her there was one path that was a little easier. So she thought, okay, I'll do that. My goal is to get out of this canyon by sundown. And so she set out. And they had said it was going to be easier, but it didn't feel like it was easier to her. There was people, again, she was the one stepping aside. At one point, there was no one else around, and she thought she had lost the trail. And but some people came along and helped her out. A ranger said, "Hey, are you Laura?" Because someone had told him she was hiking alone. And when she was getting low on water, he said, "Here, have some of mine." And people were just so loving and supportive all along the way. And she kept going, and breathing was difficult, but she knew that Grandpa was with her. But when the sun started going down, they had told her, don't look up where you have to go, look down where you've come from. That helped. But still, she thought, I'm going to be on this trail all night. I'm not going to be able to get out. And it was right as she was thinking that a young woman started coming back down the trail toward her, was trying to refill her water before climbing out the rest of the way. And she said, do you need help? She took Laura's pack and put it on her own back. She held the flashlight. And even though Laura was having trouble breathing and continuing to move forward, that young woman stayed by her side until they reached the top of the canyon. Our bodies are amazing. The way they serve us and what they do. And I apologize for getting a little teary here, but it's just like, what these wise people have said through the years. If we show up in the day believing anything's possible, if we adjust where we need to adjust because God is giving us signals through our body, we can experience the things we most want to experience in life. One of the other things that I'm really grateful for about our Unity co-founder, Merle Fillmore, is she was all about being healthy and supporting other people in the health of their body. But she reached a point in her life where she realized her body was not serving her anymore. It was getting in the way of her doing the work that she knew she'd come here to do. And she knew she needed to focus on equipping other people to carry on that work in her place. And she'd been doing that for a long time. But 3 days before she passed, she was walking around what was then known as Unity Farm. Now we know it as Unity Village, and saying, I'm going to be going soon. So you need to carry on this work. And a few days later, she was gone. She was willing to let go when it was time to let go. And still, the love and the light of God shines through all that she did in her lifetime. And there's a story of a woman and her son that reminds me of this so strongly. The woman's name is Gail Bowden, and she actually has 2 sons. One of them was born with spina bifida, and he was never able to walk. His name was Brandon, and so he had limitations. And yet, he was one of those people that wherever he went, whoever he interacted with, he brought joy into their lives. And he reminded people about the joy and the harmony they can experience and pass on to other people. And because of that, and because of his devoted mom and brother, Brandon had a really happy time. It was after his 17th birthday. One morning, his mom, Gail, went in to wake him up, and he wasn't responding. A short time later, they were at the hospital, and they were telling her that he wasn't going to wake up again. She knew the decision that Brandon wanted to make, that if his body was not serving him anymore, he would want to go. And so she let them know, and he passed really peacefully. And almost right away, they asked her about organ donations. And she was in shock. But she again knew what Brandon would want, that if he could give life to someone else, that is what he would want to do. And so she agreed. Well, she and her younger son, they moved from that community before too long. They needed to find a new place to be. And so they moved into a new house and in a new town, and to help her younger son to get to know people. He went to camp while she was at home unpacking. And one day there was a knock at the door, and it was the painter who was supposed to come the next week. And he said, oh yeah, my other job canceled. Do you want me to start now? And she said, well, sure, come on in. We still got things packed up. It'd be easy to cover them up. And so he came in, and he started doing his work and asked her about her family. And when people asked her that question, she always paused for a moment to decide how much to tell people, because talking about her son Brandon, it wasn't always going to be the best thing for that conversation. But in that moment, she decided to. She says, yes, I have one young son at camp, but I also had a son named Brandon who passed February 12th. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry." She says, "It's okay. It's okay." And he said, "Well, how did he die?" And she told him, and and he said, "Well, I know what it's like to be really sick because I almost died some time ago. And if I hadn't had a transplant, I wouldn't be here now." And she says, "When did you get your transplant?" And he said, "Oh, it was from a fellow who died in a car crash, like 21-year-old guy." And she said, "Oh, okay, you know." And so they kept, both doing what they were doing. And she went out for some errands and came back, and he was just staring into space. And she says, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yes, I owe you an apology. I have one of your son Brandon's kidneys. You wrote me a letter not long after the transplant, and I never answered your letter, and I felt so ashamed." And she couldn't believe that this was true. She called the transplant center, and they confirmed it. This man standing before her had one of her son Brandon's kidneys. She got to meet his wife and family later, and she realized that her son had not only saved this man's life, but it saved that family's life. We have amazing bodies. We can do a lot to live healthy lives while we're here. We can adjust things as we go to continue to enjoy all the best of life. And even when it's our time to go on, the love and light that's expressed through us and our bodies during our lifetime continues to bless us. I'm so grateful to be remembering this with all of you today, knowing how blessed we are and knowing how much we have to be grateful for, and just knowing that we are wonderful. Bless you, friends. Now we get to have our time of meditation. So if you'd like to just relax where you are, it's always nice to close our eyes. If it feels comfortable to you, closing your eyes and just feeling the gentleness of the moment is always a good way to begin. As we close our eyes, we start to notice what's inside ourselves. Whatever we notice in our thoughts and our words and sensations and our bodies, let's look on those things with gentle eyes. If our eyes are open, then let's look with gentle eyes on what is around us and what is before us. For looking with gentleness, it's like looking with the eyes of God on all that is within, on all that is around us, all the experiences we've had that have brought us to this place and time, all our experiences of this day, and all that lies ahead. Gentleness. With every beat of our heart, we feel the gentle presence and power of God. With every breath we take, we know God is active in our bodies. with every thought we think. We know there's that opportunity for divine inspiration, that opportunity to look behind the surface and see God at work, to find the gentle guidance, to find the blessing that awaits us. For it is there. It is always there. So we open our minds and hearts to those blessings, those gentle, gentle blessings. We open our minds and hearts for the gentle guidance that we receive now in the silence. And we are grateful, so grateful for this time of remembering together, remembering the truth as we've come to know it with our unity teachings. Grateful for the music that beautifully embodies these teachings and lifts us up, takes us to that place of experiencing God in our minds, our bodies, our hearts, and all our life events, looking behind the surface, finding the truth and the gentle guidance, and opening the way for abundant good that is yet to come. We thank God for our bodies. We thank God for each other in this community. Thank God for this place in consciousness where we can return at any time to remember the truth, that we are the beloved of God, in whom God is well pleased, and knowing that whatever life brings our way, that the best is yet to come. So it is, and so it always shall be. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Margie. Wow, fabulous. Before before Bill sings the closing song, let me make a few announcements. Oh my goodness, that was so wonderful. Thank you. Just to remind you, next Sunday at church on August 16th, Patricia's talk will be What is True Fasting? And also to say that at 8 a.m., I guess we're doing stuff inside and out at 8 a.m. To keep our center looking beautiful and whatever. And we will also be removing that shed in the back of the um, of our building. So kind of a big project next week. But be sure to come to the Sunday service. It'll take place after that. And then we'll have our monthly potluck. So we look forward to seeing you. And then on August 23rd, our Zoom service will be with Reverend Margaret Flick and her topic, Honoring the Wisdom Beyond Language. And Bill will be back to sing again. And how wonderful that will be. And then Community Sunday, 5 Sunday a month. So we have a Community Sunday on August 30th with Sarah Merlin. And she asked, did you write your letter to God? And we know she's always inspiring, and she will have live music at our center. So donations are greatly appreciated. Mail to P.O. Box 755, Lower Lake, California, 95457. And now Bill will sing the closing song.
Couldn't have been more appropriate for me. Thank you very much. Every night we light the candle that stands beside our bed. Sometimes the flame's too much to handle. That's what you said. That's what you said. You should know. Because you built a fire in me and you made it burn. You followed me, watching every move, matching every turn. Your hazel eyes, they don't miss a thing. Hold me like the sun going down. Warm me like a fire in the night without a sound. You were waiting till I heard, just as patient as that love light in your eyes. You never threw away a word or ever talked in a disguise. I ought to know. You were a beacon to a sailor lost at sea. I saw it in your eyes when you looked at me so openly. Your hazel eyes, they don't miss a thing. They hold me like the sun going down. Warm me like a fire in the night without a sound. The first time I saw your laughter break loose inside and tumble out to me, my heart knew it had found what it was after, and it came so easily. We should know. After all the years of the hard and the heavy time, nowadays go by like best friends storyline, yours and mine. Your hazel eyes, they don't miss a thing. Hold me like the sun going down, warm me like a fire in the night, without a sound. Your hazel eyes, they don't miss a thing. They hold me like the sun going down, warm me like a fire in the night, without a sound, without a sound, without a sound.